We have reached the NFL summer break, but there are still some big-time questions remaining around the NFL, including the quarterback competitions in Minnesota and Cleveland. We'll discuss on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
The new Locked On NFL. The madman Tyler Rowland is your double shot of NFL espresso with the Locked On local experts on every major story. Get ready, Rowland is revving up. Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome into the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you a double dose of the NFL's biggest stories with help from our local experts that know your favorite teams like no one else. I am your host, the madman, Tyler Rowland, joined today by Locked On NFL expert, the brain, Luke Braun. Today's show is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Luke, we got to talk about the biggest questions remaining in the NFL as we again head into the NFL summer break before training camp. We're going to talk about two teams that I find incredibly interesting in the Bills and the Ravens, who both are on the hot seat as an organization, not just their coach or their GM or their players or things like that. We got to talk about some of the big injury timelines to watch in the NFL, including Patrick Mahomes and some other quarterbacks. But we start with quarterbacks because there are quarterback battles around the NFL that have yet to be decided that remain as questions. And one of those is in your own backyard, figuratively speaking, Luke, with the Minnesota Vikings. So
yes,
just with the expert on the show, where is the quarterback competition at? Because it seems like they're really trying to give JJ McCarthy a chance, but I have a hard time believing that he has a real shot legitimately to win this quarterback battle over Kyler Murray.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of people still want to believe that this is like some dog and pony show, that this is all fake. They already have decided that it's Kyler Murray and we're just like putting up appearances, which that I ask to what end, right? All you're going to do is take reps away from the guy that I guess you've already decided is the starter, and you still have to admit at the end of the day that you're benching JJ McCarthy, who's the highest drafted quarterback in franchise history. Like what does it serve to wait? So I don't think that that's happening. And every single report from the local beat, the only people that aren't acknowledging this is a real QB competition are people like you and me who are on the outside and just speculating.
Outside, yeah.
Every report has been that this competition is real. The quarterbacks have been told that the competition is real. Everything that we've been told directly from the team on the podium is that the competition is real. And so with that in mind, the way I see it is it is probably Kyler Murray, will call it inside track, right? Like, of course, it's his job to lose. All he's got to do is beat out JJ McCarthy. That shouldn't be a tall order, but there's stuff you got to accomplish to prove that. And O'Connell has talked a little bit about it, and Kyler has to prove consistency. He has to prove enough of a grasp of a very complicated Kevin O'Connell scheme to know that you're not going to have like super basic running the thing issues, not unlike what the Vikings dealt with JJ McCarthy in like week 2 last year. That got ironed out by, halfway through the season, but we don't want to go through that again. So he has to kind of prove that he has the consistency and that he's not going to have games where he shows up and, throws 4 picks and you can't have bad days. Not to mention, McCarthy has taken a bit of a step forward. I don't think enough of one to like really make this interesting, but enough of one to put the ball into Kyler Murray's court. There's a couple of things you have to prove. I think he will, and I don't think it's going to be super hard for him to do that, but it is going to take a little bit of time and roll into training camp. They're both going to play in the preseason. In terms of what order, they haven't made that decision. Nobody's even thinking about it yet. But there are, call it like a checklist he has to check off, right? It's like going grocery shopping. You're not going to fail at that, but you do have to go out and do it.
Yeah, it's still something that has to be done. I think there are 2 big factors why the Vikings behind closed doors probably will keep this as a true competition. Number one, the best possible outcome for the Vikings is still JJ McCarthy winning. Like JJ McCarthy being the player that you hoped he would be when you took him that high. Like that is better than Kyler Murray resurgence because
they're not paying him anything. So like if he doesn't contribute anything to the Vikings, it's no skin off anyone's nose but the Cardinals.
Exactly. It's not that big of a deal. And then, two, the other side of this, let's not act like Kyler Murray is Mr. Reliable and that he's always been a guy who's been known to be in his playbook and doing all the things that you said that he has to check. Yeah, checking the checklist is not the hardest thing ever, but Kyler hasn't always checked the checklist in the past. At least that's what people have whispered about with Kyler. So that'll be something interesting to watch.
And that those whispers are why they're like, we want to see it, dude.
Yeah, and they should, because there are reasons to be concerned about Kyler to where you just don't hand him the keys to the castle right away. Also, he's got to earn it. I think you're right about that, and it's smart to do it that way. The quarterback controversy in Cleveland, though, feels a little bit different. Neither quarterback, I would say, people have much hope for long-term at this point, but I still think that the best possible move for the Browns is to go with Shedeur Sanders. And it sounds like, at least in camp, he's been pretty impressive so far.
I will say this. Neither guy has been elite, but neither guy's been real bad either. And I don't mind saying that. So I thought the last 2 days were kind of an indication of what's kind of happened this spring. Both guys have been solid. One guy's been more impactful. So yesterday, I thought, on day 2 of camp, I thought Shedeur Sanders had a great day. I thought he was really impactful. I did not think Deshaun Watson had a bad day. I just thought Shedeur played a lot better.
If that's the case, you got to go with Shedeur Sanders, because everything, when you're listing out the pros and the cons of this competition, every single thing leans to Shedeur. He has the potential to be worse than Deshaun Watson, potentially, because of the lack of experience. He has the potential to have higher upside. He has the potential to be a long-term answer. What's the result if Deshaun Watson is okay? Like, there's just nothing there. So everything in my mind points to Shedeur Sanders. And if he is also outplaying Deshaun Watson and being more impactful in the practice field, well, that's just the cherry on top of what should have already been an easy decision in my mind.
I get to it a different way than you. I think the last one's the only thing that should matter at this point. Once you get to camp, like long-term team building, how many years of team control, all that other stuff takes a back seat to who's playing better. Because ultimately you sit in that meeting room where you go, okay, what's our depth chart, right? And the person who gets the loudest voice is that group's position coach. They're the ones that get to say this dude, this dude, this dude, this dude, and then the head coach and the GM and whoever else has power can supersede it if they see fit to. But if Deshaun Watson isn't playing better than Shedeur Sanders, that's it to me. Now I don't care about anything else. Put in the quarterback that is the best. And if you're not doing that, then I'm taking your football card. Like you shouldn't be a part of this. I don't think we need to concern ourselves with all those other reasons. But if Deshaun Watson is better than Shedeur Sanders, it would be insane to start a worse quarterback on purpose to me, just because the vibes are bad. Like, I don't think I could fathom it.
I think it's a decision that gets made all the time when young quarterbacks whose development is more important than, squeezing out every juice of the win. I think teams make calculated decisions like that to prioritize development of younger players over squeezing out every possible win. I think that happens more than maybe you're given it credit that it does,
I could see in the way of like, hey, but we think with a couple of games he'll figure this out and then he'll be better,
that
right?
sort of
like
thought.
short term.
Right.
But hey, we're gonna give Shedeur Sanders a Devy year only to draft his replacement next year, which the Browns are absolutely doing. Yes. Like, come on.
Well, hey, listen, if they're dead set on getting that quarterback, either of these quarterbacks might be able to get them there. Now, I want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. That's the last little quarterback controversy that I really want to dive into here, because right now I just have a hard time believing that Tua is going to give that back to Michael Penix when Penix eventually gets healthy and ready to go. But we'll go to Locked On Falcons for the latest on the quarterback battle.
This is going to be the great mystery that, hangs over this next calendar year for the Atlanta Falcons. Not only this summer with the quarterback battle, not only this season with the ups and downs of the quarterback situation, but heading into next season where the Falcons will continue to be at a crossroads at the quarterback position, right? And so that's going to hang over for the next calendar year. And those decisions that are made over the next 12 months are probably going to dictate this regime's outlook and success over the next 3 years, right?
I mean, I don't think that the long-term quarterback for the Falcons is on the roster right now. No. But again, Tua's been a better quarterback than Michael Penix. I mean, he's been in the NFL longer, but he has more experience. He's taken his team to the playoffs. I know it's fun to crap on Tua, like publicly, like that's a thing that people do. But I just have a hard time believing that Penix, coming off an injury, is going to be better than the veteran Tua, who has a head start already.
Yeah, it's. I've always looked at the Falcons as a pick your poison thing because I'm just not a fan of either of these guys very much.
Yeah.
But what's kind of sucks is when someone like Penix is hurt, when you're in this QB competition and only one of you is going, there is nothing either of them can really do against each other. There's no comparison point.
Right.
So Tua Tagovailoa can have all these good practices. And it sounds like he's been pretty good in camp.
Yeah.
And then Penix can come back. And if Tua has his bad day then, all of that work is undone.
Everything changes. Yeah.
And the offseason is structured such that whatever happens next is infinitely more important than what's happening now. One preseason game where Tua rules and Michael Penix is back, maybe he's healthy, he's not very good. That's it. It's over. Week one, you can have had the best preseason ever, but if you suck on week one, that's what matters now. And so we probably don't have to have a lot of stakes on this right now. I mean, we're in the first quarter of this battle.
I think that we may be in the first quarter, but there is a significant lead for Tua right now that I guess I just don't know. I don't know if it's surmountable, as people would say. But anyways, with that in mind,
ball's in his court, not unlike Kyler Murray. If Tua can avoid the bad days, he's got it. But that's got to be the challenge.
Yeah, that is going to be the challenge for certain. And with the coaches, both coaches, Kevin Stefanski and Kevin O'Connell, I think are guys who are like, run the system. So I think the bad days are maybe more detrimental in the mind of the coach because it gives them more doubt about being able to run their system the way that they want it done. But
yeah, and it's got to be about trust,
It's got to be about trust. With that in mind, though, do we trust certain players around the NFL to come back in week one? Patrick Mahomes. What about an update on Bo Nix? So much to discuss, continuing at the quarterback position, but this time we focus on the injuries. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Square, the business platform helping sellers become neighborhood favorites. Whether you're preparing for a busy season or managing everyday demand, Square helps keep your business moving with everything from payments to online orders to inventory to staff management and more, all in one place. So business owners can spend less time managing tools and more time focusing on their customers. Square helps simplify the everyday work behind running a business while giving owners the tools they need to keep growing. And it's something that you notice whenever you're supporting your local businesses. I personally have some neighborhood spots that run on Square, and I notice how seamless everything is, from receipts to checkout to loyalty programs. Square helps run your business more smoothly, bringing payments, operations, and insights together in one place so you're ready for whatever's next. Right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/lockedonnfl. That's SQUARE.com/go/lockedonnfl. Get started with Square and build a setup that works the way you do. All right, Luke, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL. Again, looking at some of the biggest questions remaining for teams around the NFL. We talked about the quarterback battles that we're focused on, the Vikings, the Browns, the Falcons. I'm looking at the Raiders too, but I'll put that to the side as it seems like Kirk Cousins is gonna get that opportunity. Play Fernando Mendoza, Raiders. But now we need to look at some of the big questions that we have around injuries. Patrick Mahomes, will he be ready for week one? Our guys over at Locked On Chiefs think if he's not ready for week one, we may not see Mahomes until later in the season.
If he doesn't play, the Broncos are likely to win that game. I'll just put it that way.
Yep.
From where we sit now. I think the NFL's rolling the dice there, but if he doesn't play that game, I think that's where we're sitting here at week 5 saying, I think it's more like we're saying at week 5 that Patrick hasn't played yet than it is, he started week 2 or he started against the Dolphins or something like that. I think it's all or nothing. I think Patrick's either going to be ready for week 1 or I don't think we'll see him till week 6.
The Chiefs have a bye in week 5, which is why they're talking about the week 6. Do we think that the Chiefs could survive and still have a shot at the playoffs if Patrick Mahomes missed Denver in week 1 at home, Indianapolis week 2 at home, Miami week 3 on the road, Vegas week 4 on the road. Could the Chiefs go 2-2, 1-3 in that time? Mahomes get ready at the bye week at week 5, and then week 6 to the end of the season, just a mad dash for them to try to make the playoffs.
I could see a 2-2 start there. And if Mahomes returns to a 2-2 team, that's then we're fine. I mean, they've been in worse spots with Mahomes to start seasons and then figured it out, made their comeback, right? But I mean, the Dolphins aren't even trying to win, and God knows what's going on with the Raiders. Yeah, the Chiefs can take those teams.
I think so too. I really do think, and you have to wonder, did the NFL make the bye so early for the Chiefs and give them 2 potential cupcake games? Did the NFL do that on purpose to give Mahomes that first month ramp up so that they didn't need him during that month if they didn't have to?
I think they did that on purpose, but for a different reason. And that's because, games like Chiefs Ravens or whatever are good TV. And they didn't want Mahomes to miss the good TV. They want Mahomes to miss nobody's tuning in to Chiefs Dolphins. If Mahomes is there and they're going to win by 50, you're not putting that on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Luke, this is why I love doing the show. We can have the same answer, but do the math differently to get to that answer. That's excellent stuff.
It's all about ratings. It's
a
profit deal.
That's a good point. They want to make sure Mahomes is back for those big-time games that we see later in the year, and they certainly will be against Buffalo, against the Rams, the Bengals, New England, San Francisco. There are some big-time ones, but one of the teams
Broncos game does hurt them. Like that's like the one that they probably – I mean, those guys won the division last year.
But you know what I think? With it being one of the first primetime games of the first Monday night game of the NFL season, that basically sells itself, right? They don't really have to worry about ratings in the first week because people are so thirsty for football that those are going to do well. So maybe that was part of the calculation as well. But we look to their week 2 game. The Indianapolis Colts, their quarterback is injured as well. And I played a clip recently on the show. I won't recycle it here, but I played it recently, and it seems like Daniel Jones has been active in OTAs. He's ahead of schedule. People in Indianapolis are confident that he's going to be full go for training camp and obviously full go for the season. Are we maybe underrating how good the Colts could be with a healthy Daniel Jones back from week 1 to push forward?
I don't think I'm underrating it. I see the Colts as a threat to that division. It does depend on how healthy Daniel Jones is when it comes to Achilles injuries. You can get back to the field, and the last rumor that I saw was about a month ago, and it said it was on track to play week 1. Okay, cool. But on track to play isn't the same as 100% with those Achilles injuries. A lot of times guys come back for the first couple of months after they finish their rehab process. They still aren't pushing off it the same. They still aren't. I remember seeing that with Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, and that wasn't the same thing because Cousins is a much older body and has had a much longer career, a lot more wear and tear. But it's to me, they're a total wild card because of exactly that. I don't know exactly what version of Daniel Jones you're getting, and I don't even know if what we saw with Daniel Jones in Indy last year is sustainable anyways, or was it a flash in the pan? Everybody's eager to point out, and I'll point it out too, that the Colts were kind of falling off with Daniel Jones. Now, he was on like a broken leg too. Like Jones, when healthy, it was working, but that was like 7 weeks, and then things kind of started to fall away for reasons that weren't just my quarterback's a little bit hurt. Like people were starting to figure out what the Colts were doing and getting a little better against it. I still probably am picking the Jags just to repeat, and I'm going to go chalk there. I don't really believe in the Texans until they prove to me that something about them can change in the last 6 years. But yeah, the Colts are kind of a dark horse wild card thing there to me, that maybe they do start off a little bit hot. Or if it takes Daniel Jones a month or 2 to get ready, then maybe they finish hot and they're one of those teams that makes a surge at the very end, and they're the team you don't want to play in January.
We know that they're capable of getting hot, so it's just about if they're able to do it again to set themselves up to have a chance to be a player at the end. But I do wonder. I've been critical of the Colts, and shocker, but their roster has gotten worse with retaining Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce. Like they've lost some talent on the roster, and I just wonder if they can afford it. That's my big question: is can the Colts afford? Is Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce good enough together? Sauce Gardner good enough? Is that good enough to offset the talent that they've clearly lost on the offensive line, on defense, Michael Pittman Jr., another year older for Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones coming off 2 big injuries to his legs when he's mobile. Like, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. So I don't think they're incapable, but it'll be interesting to watch another quarterback that is coming off a big-time injury that appears to be ahead of schedule is Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos. And if Bo Nix truly is fully healthy, the Broncos are absolutely a Super Bowl contender with how strong their roster is. Our guys from Locked On Broncos talked about the excitement with having their quarterback back.
And I love it, Cody. I mean, we got to hear from Bo Nix as well. I know you and I kind of entered this week wondering, are we going to be able to hear from Bo Nix? Are they going to kind of try to conceal some stuff? No, I think Bo's just out there operating at full confidence. And I love it, man. I really do. This is exactly what I think everybody's been wanting, to just clear out that dark cloud, hanging over anything. And Bo obviously was super excited to be back. You could tell, you could just feel like that juice flowing after practice. He was really feeling it at the microphone. And I'm so pumped for him.
We did a little power rankings episode last week of the top 10 teams in the NFL celebrating Locked On's anniversary. I had the Broncos, I think settled, me and Lauren had the Broncos at number 2. Best team in the NFL. Like, I've seen power rankings where they're much lower than that, and I don't get it. That roster is stacked. Bo Nix is healthy. Sean Payton's extended. The Broncos are a dangerous football team.
They're going to have to be the same team they were last year, where they win with a lot of defense, and then maybe you can get an explosion. You can get Bo Nix. The more aggressive you can get him. They took a big step that last year with that, and it made a huge impact. If you can keep doing that and get him.
He's clutch. He makes big plays at the end of games.
Yeah, and you can get to those moments where you have opportunities for that. As for the injury, so my understanding of the procedure because he had another ankle procedure in April, and everyone got really scared about it. My understanding for that is the recovery for that surgery is measured in weeks, not months. So the idea of he's going to be ready for training camp is like, yeah, that's pretty normal for that surgery. It would actually be kind of astounding if he wasn't ready for like week 1 or the preseason or anything like that. So I think the Broncos can bank on a healthy Bo Nix. With what I understand about those injuries, I'm no doctor, but from what I understand about injury timelines and how they've worked with athletes in the past, they can bank on Bo Nix to be healthy and ready to go. And then it's just a matter of fighting out of the rat race that is the AFC West. That is an absolute heavyweight league.
Well, to me, it's all about, can the Broncos ever have a run game? Because if you added a good run game to this Broncos team.
God, what a question to ask. Can the Broncos have a run game? God, like, when's the last time that was an issue?
I know, right? It's very strange, but that's what they're missing. If they could add that in this year somehow. But they didn't make big changes on the offensive line, which is showing it's a good offensive line. They didn't make big changes in the running back room. So it's like, Jonah Coleman's good, but I don't know. We will see about that run game. But with that in mind, as we get to questions about teams, how well they'll do, their performance, there are 2 teams for me that are the biggest question marks in the NFL this year in terms of what will happen if things don't go right. And it's the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales to accounting to inventory to marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. All of these teams that we're talking about are trying to make sure that they have everything in place so that they can grow their organization, because they know great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should go get Odoo. Try it for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. All right, Luke, let's cap off today's edition of Locked On NFL. Again, looking at some of the big questions remaining around the NFL. We looked at starting quarterback battles, injury timelines. Now I just want to talk about two teams that I think are crazy questions going forward. And we start with the Buffalo Bills. I'm looking at the Bills this year, and when you get to the level that they were at last year, and then you promote somebody within your building, and you just replace your coach on the defensive side of the ball, you are basically saying that guy was the problem. It's not our roster. It's not our offense. It's not anything else. And that puts a ton of pressure on Joe Brady to deliver. And our guys at Locked On Bills talked about whether this could be a one-and-done year for Joe Brady if things go poorly.
What's your knee-jerk reaction to me asking you this question? Is there a world where Joe Brady is one and done as head coach of the Buffalo Bills?
Oof.
Now listen, Jerry, one and done head coaches in the NFL, that is absolutely a thing. There has been at least one and done head coach every year dating back to 2021. In fact, 3 times since then, you've had multiple one and done head coaches across the NFL. Now that wasn't a thing. You know, you look at 1980 through 2010, it only happened a handful of times, but it is a thing lately. Obviously, you know, things could implode, but barring something catastrophically bad happening with injuries, like, could this team just completely fall flat and we are talking about a new head coach in 2027?
Well, if we're talking about a new head coach in 2027, we're probably talking about a new general manager in 2027 as well.
Yeah.
If that happens, this is a systematic redo of everything.
And I think Joe Brady being promoted instead of being a new head coach gives him less leash. Like, if things go poorly,
it's still the part of the old Bills. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to feel like, oh, well, it was year one with a new system, new coaching staff. We got to give them time. It's going to feel like, oh God, this same thing over and over. And I think that's not good for Joe Brady. It creates more pressure for Joe Brady. Again, the Bills, just an absolutely fascinating team. They could win the Super Bowl or they could miss the playoffs and totally blow everything up.
The thing about the Bills is that for the last couple of years, the vibes have been bad. And it's really difficult to pin that down if you believe a journalist like Ty Dunn, which if you don't believe a journalist like Ty Dunn, there's an argument. But if you do, then Sean McDermott was the reason the vibes were bad, that he was a tyrant and he was difficult to work with. And now that he's out of there, the cancer is gone and we're all going to be happy. I find that in the NFL, oh, we got rid of the cancer. Everything else was actually working fine. It was just that guy that was the problem. Never works out. That one never survives contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
Usually that's what you hear from an organization that is in denial about its other problems and wants to believe that there was just one or two bad apples that were spoiling the bunch. Vikings. But if Joe Brady's promotion was baffling to us when it happened because of the comments the ownership was making about, well, you know, you guys drafted Keon Coleman. And at the time, that was a big Joe Brady thing. People said that the Keon Coleman fiasco was like, at the time, they were like, oh, Joe Brady really liked this guy, this cool dude that everybody loves because he's funny in the interview. And that's where you get the truth. When things are going well, that's when you get the real truth about who is taking credit for what.
Yep.
So for him to get promoted under this weird pretense, I wonder if someone made a case. Like, I wonder if someone talked ownership and being into, hey, no, give Joe Brady this chance. Give Joe Brady this chance. And they go,
we know who it was.
Who?
Josh Allen. Of
course.
I mean, the guy is like, hey, please keep my offensive guy here. Hey, make the defense better. The defense is what's letting us down, not the offense. Keep the offense, I'm not going to put that on Josh Allen, but if there is somebody, if your theory is correct and somebody made the case to ownership for this guy and that's why he got it, the only logical person would be Josh Allen or I guess Brandon Beane. But I mean, at that point.
Yeah. And so if that's the case, well, and Brandon Beane was on the side of disparaging this Keon Coleman thing. So I don't see him there. So if that's the case, it's funny you say the Bills are on the hot seat. Yeah, I think they're on Josh Allen's hot seat.
Yeah.
Right? And the vibes remain weird. So I could totally see what Joe and Jerry were talking about going down, right? If the Bills go up in smoke, they get a bunch of injuries again, and maybe they don't even make the playoffs, right? If it's one of those down years, that happens to teams from time to time. We just saw it happen to the Chiefs before Mahomes got injured. And if they experience one of those down years, Joe Brady goes one and done. Brandon Beane's probably out too. I totally agree with that. And then you're going through an organizational reshuffle, and Josh Allen goes, I don't want to be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly the 2027 offseason and that draft class gets really funky.
Well, I've been saying one of my little hot takes that I have this summer is that I actually think Josh Allen may request a trade earlier than Joe Burrow because the Bills are a year ahead of the Bengals because the Bengals can still fire Zach Taylor and offer Burrow a new coaching staff. That's probably not going to work for Josh Allen after they've done this. But the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff is another one that I have my eyes on. I have been on Declan Doyle's head top all season. I don't have a lot of faith in Declan Doyle to lead the Ravens, but you know who does have faith in Declan Doyle? The Ravens, because he's been getting a lot of compliments this offseason, according to Kevin Ostreicher from Locked On Ravens.
Declan Doyle just can't stop getting compliments from Baltimore Ravens players. I'm Kevin Ostreicher, the host of Locked On Ravens. Elijah Surratt was the latest to compliment Doyle, calling him a mad scientist and talked about his detail-orientedness. But we've heard it all offseason from these guys, how impressive Declan Doyle has been. We've heard Lamar Jackson talk about him, Jacoby Land. I mean, the list goes on and on with Declan, and he has been so impressive, not only just to the players, but to everybody who has been kind of watching him, especially just from afar, as he continues to grow this offense out, hearing players speak about him, hearing coaches speak about him, hearing himself, Declan Doyle, speak. It's all been very eye-opening in terms of the things that they can do on offense in 2026. The players seem to have bought into Doyle's messaging, his coaching, and everything that he has. And the details, they do matter, and I think that's going to be really important for the Ravens in 2026. So for more on the Ravens, be sure to check out the Locked On Ravens podcast and subscribe on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
I'm looking at the Ravens the same way as the Bills. What if they don't make the playoffs? What are they going to do then? Lamar's going to be 30. They owe him a contract extension soon. You don't trust your coach. You just got rid. What if the Giants go to the playoffs and the Ravens don't? What happens then? What happens then?
Oh, that would feel interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the Ravens are just like the Bills to me. They have put themselves in a position where there is a very small target for them to hit for happiness. And I just don't know if either team is going to be able to do it.
Yeah. If they start, I mean, that would be consecutive misses, right? Like, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
If we start going down that path, yeah, I do see them in the same way as the Bills, that the Ravens are on Lamar Jackson's hot seat. This is a guy that has been to the AFC Championship once in all of this dominance, 2 MVP seasons. Both of them go up in flames too early. So again, the vibes are weird.
Yes.
And when you go into the season with the vibes weird like that, with all that pretext, all of this pomp and circumstance around the new coach, which you get every time, especially when it's an offensive coordinator on a defensive coach's team, where he basically has his side of the ball and he's seen as one half of the head coaching operation. And everybody goes, oh yeah, this guy's great. Look, he's such a whiz. He's so cool on the X's and O's and all that stuff. And again, does that survive contact with the enemy? And if it does, then awesome. They get to make the playoffs, whatever. Maybe Declan Doyle becomes a hot head coaching candidate or whatever. We move on and we go to that part of the cycle. But yeah, if not, now we're if this is a forgive me, Ravens fans, a Cam Cameron situation. If we go into that and we're firing him mid-season and it didn't work because he was just a scheme nerd and he couldn't get these offensive pieces working together.
And he's 29 years old, the same age as your quarterback, and Lamar doesn't respect him, and Derrick Henry
green,
doesn't like him.
Yeah, and that greenness, of course, there's going to be lessons that you learn the first. You're not going to be great at this when you first start. Look at Clint Kubiak, right?
Yep.
He's at the year where Clint Kubiak was 6 years ago when he was in Minnesota. It wasn't as good. And so if we're there and then you start to run out of patience, yeah, sure. This has been kind of my hot take, is that 2027 will feature multiple high-level QB trades. And between Allen, Lamar, and Burrow,
Jalen Hurts.
Sure. Yeah. Throw him in. I could see people kind of turning on, and I could see like Packers fans turning on Jordan Love if it doesn't get a little better than the 7th seed in the first round exit.
Yeah.
If we want to go to the NFCs, I could see all of these situations kind of coming to a head, and they all feel like they're coming to a head at the same time. And the contracts are all about, they were all like, oh, that contract's tough to move this offseason, but in 27, maybe.
Yep.
And they're all kind of there. And then you get this draft class. The next offseason is going to be wild at the quarterback position.
And the trades of this offseason, I think, make it NFL owners or NFL GMs don't want to look like the idiot. So the more people trade, the more people will trade. It like proliferates in that way because people feel more comfortable making moves when they see other people have made some moves because they're going to look less bad if it's a bad trade because there will be more bad trades because there are just more trades in general. So
yeah, and I think about like Matt Ryan in Atlanta when they sniffed around Deshaun Watson and then that fracture.
Lamar Jackson right there.
Yeah, right. What if a team like the Eagles starts sniffing around Lamar Jackson and then Jalen Hurts goes, all right, fine, I'm done. Get me out of here. And now he goes to another team and then this ripple effect happens.
Ooh, spicy. Anyway, with that being said, that is going to do it for today's edition of Locked On NFL. I am your host, the Madman Tyler Rowland, for my co-host, the Brain Luke Braun, as we tell you every episode. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe out there.